Hey guys, Kelli, Stewart here, John Lamb. We're going to give you a quick update on the courtroom here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we are waiting anxiously to find out if Bundy will be released on his pretrial release or not. Is there anything you want to start with about anything that's happened so far?
So much so far. It's just been kind of in general because they're in a closed, sealed session at this moment. So all of us had to leave the courtroom. So she talked in general about the motions that were filed by Ryan Payne's attorney and Ammon Bundy's attorneys. So there's multiple motions that have been filed the last few days that no decision has yet been made. Some of it's just concerning the cameras at the Bundy Ranch, that we still do not know if they're going to produce any of those camera footages or any of the laptop stuff, or even the, what do you call the Mac?
Yeah, it sounds like the Mac has gone missing. That was Dan Love's, and the judge said that it was irrelevant that it's gone missing. It's irrelevant why it's gone missing, that there was likely information on it that wasn't uploaded to the cloud or to the server, but that that wasn't a concern. But she would let the jurors know that a MacBook of Dan Love's has gone missing, so there could have been evidence on that that would have helped them. But at this time, there's really nothing we can do about that, and it doesn't sound like there will be any measures taken for disciplinary for the lack of proper handling of evidence by Dan Love. I was encouraged that there's a few things she's been approving today. She's denied the motion to dismiss. Ryan Payne and Ammon Bundy's attorneys filed motions to dismiss. She denied those, stating that they were not based on Brady violations. They were simply based on the allegation that there were Brady violations, but until that is proven, she will not entertain that, so that was dismissed. But she did agree that the defense has a right to have emails pertaining to Dan Love if there were Brady violations in them, meaning there was information possibly in those emails that would either impeach Dan Love or possibly bring acquittals for these defendants. And so she did order the government to go through the emails and also to go through the emails and overall operation and see if there's anything that happened that is protected under the Brady requirements that would cause the defense to get that information from the government. Of course, the government is the one deciding this, so I'm not really sure how I feel about that. The government is the one who has to go back through this information and decide if there's a Brady violation and if it needs to be handed over. I'm not really sure how that works when you investigate yourself. Usually you find yourself, without doing anything wrong.
One thing she mentioned about those is that things that could be removed from these emails are such as things that are like cuss words, inappropriate language in there, or even political incorrectness. Yeah. So one of these things is political incorrectness is Dan Love and them making fun of the other protesters that were in the wash. So are they going to take that out? Are they going to allow that to stay in there for these jurors to be able to see those?
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like we're going to get much of an answer on any of that today. But we are still in the hearing right now. Hopefully when we head back up, the sealed part of this will be done. It's only sealed because this is information about Dan Love and the motions that the defendants filed. And so they wanted to argue about some things and discuss, and they said it was protected under the Protective Act, or the protective order. So that is why we had to leave the courtroom, but it should be done now. We're very happy to report that Lisa Bundy is in the courtroom today, Angie Bundy, Carol Bundy. Many of Cliven's daughters are up there right now, showing great support. I can see that that's encouraging the defendants. They're turning around, they're waving to their family members and smiling. So that is really lifting their spirits. A lot of times in these cases, if you just keep the defendants going, they can fight the good fight in the courtroom when they know they have the support out here. And these defendants definitely know they have the support of their family and friends, and they seem like they're in good spirits today. So I think when we head back in, it'll be going right into Ammon's pretrial release hearing. So please be praying about that. We'll give you guys a lunchtime update and let you know what's happened with that. I know a lot of people are saying they don't have a lot of hope that he's going to be released, but we still ask you guys to keep praying for each one of these defendants. Also pray tomorrow for
Micah McGuire.
8 a.m. is his we say change of plea hearing, but understand all charges are going to be dismissed on him except for the misdemeanor that he is willing to plead guilty to. So while it sounds bad when you say Michael McGuire is changing his plea to guilty, you have to understand along with changing his plea to guilty, he's getting all of the felony counts dropped. Which is still a form of a victory, and it shows the government had no case against him to hold him for 2 years if they're willing to drop all charges against him as long as they can hear the one word they want to hear out of him on this misdemeanor, which is, I am guilty.
Literally, he's been held hostage for 2 years on a misdemeanor. You got to understand that the government's wanting him out of there. They're also wanting the other defendants over there in Prump that haven't even have a trial set yet out of there. They're trying to make plea deals for all of these guys. They're wanting this case over probably just as bad as we are right now. They know the mess that they've gotten themselves into. And
this last group is just about heading into the time frame where charges will be dismissed anyway for the speedy trial violations. They've been asking for not just 1 year, but now coming up on 2 years for their right to a speedy trial, and that's been denied. Some of the attorneys, some of the paralegals out there are saying if they can just hold on a little longer, this last group will likely have all charges dismissed. We know that is the case because the last group is being offered misdemeanors right now, and my understanding from their family members is all of them are being offered a misdemeanor. So in that last group we have Joe Shaughnessy, Michael McGuire, Jason Woods, Dave Bundy, Mel Bundy. Is that it? Is it 5?
Yeah, that's 5. Yeah.
5 of them. So we don't. The only one we know at this time that is moving forward with that is Michael McGuire tomorrow at 8 a.m. Please, if you're near Nevada, come because everybody else who has pled guilty has been released right upon their guilty plea. Blaine Cooper, Brian Cavalier, Pete Santilli, and there's one other who walked out.
Well,
maybe that's it.
Scott and some of those did.
Well, they were dropped
after their last trial.
Right. So maybe it's just the 3. So when those 3 have pled guilty, they have been able to leave the courtroom. So we're really praying that's the case for Micah tomorrow, and that his family can be here. So if you're nearby, please come and support him. 8 a.m. tomorrow morning at the federal courthouse.
Sounds great. Yes, we'll be here tomorrow. Big day tomorrow. If this trial continues, the jury will be in tomorrow for the first day of the actual trial. We could have opening arguments as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and maybe Micah will even be able to sit in on those
yes.
as a somewhat free man. So be praying for the families and support them however you guys can, and we'll be back at lunchtime to give you an update. God bless you guys.
Hi everyone, this is Gina Harden here in Las Vegas at the federal courthouse for the detention hearing for Ammon Bundy. So just wanted to give a quick hello. The trial is expected to begin tomorrow, and I'll be here for that. But right now, this morning, rather, the judge was just going over some preliminary motions, and we've been waiting for Ammon Bundy's detention hearing and to find out if he will be released today from pretrial detention after being incarcerated nearly 2 years, waiting for his trial to begin. So please have faith and believe with us for some good news today. Kelli and I were here early this morning, marching around the courthouse and praying and just believing that God will move on our behalf here. So stay tuned and just keep the faith and keep believing for us, and hopefully we'll be able to come back after lunchtime with some good news to report. All right.
Good afternoon here. We've had a long day again. We're down here at the federal courthouse. We're going to let Brand go ahead and blow his shofar for a second. That was Brand Thornton blowing the shofar, as everybody probably remembers this sound from all these trials. But we've got some big news today. We're down here at the courthouse. We've had a long day. We sat in the courtroom or the hallway for a couple hours today after lunch, waiting on a sealed hearing to finish. And they finally let us in late this afternoon, just for a short time. But we'll go on with Ammon's. That was all about Ammon's detention hearing. And then we'll go into some breaking news here shortly.
Yeah, so Ammon was denied pretrial release. We don't understand why. They said that he's still a threat to the public. They gave all the same reasons that they basically gave with Cliven, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense because he answered all of the questions he needed to answer about his time in the jail and the write-ups that he received, and they explained how those were predominantly focused around the strip searches. that they're not a threat to the public, that these things wouldn't be happening if they weren't in jail. But at the end of that, it was heartbreaking to see Lisa and the rest of the family when they denied his release. But then there was new information because the prosecution had lied last week about some issues with Ryan and his past. And so
Ryan Bundy, it was kind of a shock to all of us because we wasn't in that sealed hearing. But Ryan Bundy is going to be released within about an hour. So that's the big news. That was a big change from last week when they denied Ryan Bundy, and the government, the prosecutors, had lied about some of the incidents that involved Ryan Bundy, such as him being tased. That was a lie. The other incident was him using foul language at the marshals, and the marshals had that wrote down in a statement against Ryan Bundy. That came out, it was a false that the marshals had given. So with this false information, they decided to go ahead and let Ryan Bundy out. So Ryan Bundy will be released to a halfway house here within about an hour, supposedly from this courthouse right here in Las Vegas.
Yep, Angie will be able to transport him to the halfway house, so their children are being brought in right now and will hopefully be here by the time he walks out. We were thinking about bringing the camera up to maybe up to the doors and getting the reactions from the family members about Ryan being released. He was very happy. He kept turning around and smiling at Angie, and of course that's comforting for all of us, even though Ammon is sitting there facing Lisa, knowing that he won't be released. But maybe we could go up and get some of their reactions.
So we'll walk up that way as we kind of keep going with some of the information we've got. We know that there was a lot of stuff they fought over that we don't even know all the details, but we know that they fought for several hours behind closed doors in a sealed proceeding about Ammon and some other things. So we
know that Morgan filed a last-minute sealed hearing motion last night. We don't know what the results of that are yet.
Larry Klayman also filed a new lawsuit involving Cliven Bundy for the Bundys. So they're probably going to wait to come back.
Yeah, so what we're going to do now is, it looks like everybody's actually heading back to the back corner where he'll be released from. Do we want to just stay live until he's released for an hour?
We'll go back there and see.
Yeah.
Well, if we get low on battery, we might have to charge back up, but we will show you live when Ryan comes out of the back doors here of the courthouse. Several things of Ammon's detention that was keeping him from getting released today that the prosecution brought up. One was that he had contraband and that he was caught in possession of it. We found out what that was. That contraband was a thumb drive
of his own
discovery.
Because other people had had their discovery stolen, and he didn't want to lose it after he left the law library, so he kept his thumb drive with him. And that was one of the reasons he was written up, and it was listed as a extreme offense. But if you think about what's going on here, we have people that are literally staying detained because they were caught with their own discovery in jail when they shouldn't be in jail to start with. They should be out on bail. So it's almost like they create the problem and then they use the results to continue punishing you.
Another thing was, remember back in Camp Liberty, there was a t-shirt incident that actually resulted in Ammon Bundy being thrown in the hole for quite some time. That was one of the reasons they did not allow him also to be released. But the big news is, what's that?
Is this the corner they said?
No, they're going to go back down there. But I would say everybody's going to be waiting for about an hour. It's going to be some time.
So maybe we should go off.
And we are going to come back live. So what we're going to do is, again, anybody joining in right now that hasn't heard what happened, Ryan Bundy is being released on a pretrial detention type thing. He will be put on an ankle bracelet. He will be put at a halfway house tonight at least. And so, but Ryan Bundy is being released tonight from the courthouse here. It was a big surprise to all of us. We mainly knew that we were going to be here for Ammon's detention hearing today, and we heard almost nothing of Ammon.
Yeah.
Very little, probably publicly less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, the judge had already clearly made up her mind about Ammon and him not being released, much like what she did to Cliven. There is no reason that Ammon should be detained and Ryan should be released. They all should be out. But we are going to celebrate tonight, you know, that Ryan is being released, that his family will be able to hug him, he'll be able to hold his babies that he hasn't held in 2 years. And then we're just going to pray that something changes, and throughout this trial that a miracle happens and that they're released, and so that they don't have to spend the next 4 months fighting this trial. You know, they get up at 3 in the morning, they leave the jail at 4 in the morning, they're not back to their cell until 9 o'clock at night. So for those of you who don't understand the importance of bail, how can you fight your case when you're getting up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not back to your cell till 9 o'clock at night, then you need to call family, call home, maybe check in with your attorney. You barely have enough time to get a good night's sleep. It's rigged from the beginning to work against these defendants when they deny bail, which is why the Bill of Rights is so important to guarantee a fair trial.
We'll have you some new news on some of the other procedures today. Probably tomorrow. We'll update you on everything we can. But give us about an hour. We will be back. We'll update you as Ryan Bundy walks out of this courthouse here in just about an hour.
And also be praying for the other defendants of the last trial. I anticipate, now that Ryan's been released, I anticipate that all of the last group would be released. Their threat level is supposed to be the lowest of anybody. They're not leaders in any of this. Dave Bundy was just taking pictures. So I would anticipate good things to continue coming, and maybe even in the next week the rest of them could start filing their release motions and potentially get released. And of course Michael McGuire might be released tomorrow morning, depending on how his change of plea hearing goes. So lots of good stuff. Keep watching, keep sharing.
We'll be back in about an hour. Thank you guys.